Each year, thousands of migrants die crossing the Mediterranean Sea trying to enter Europe, largely through unofficial channels. The inherent danger to migrants making this trip on overpacked and structurally unsound boats is compounded by policies from the Libyan and Italian governments. That's according to reporting by Ian Urbina of the Outlaw Ocean Project.
The bottom of the Mediterranean is a graveyard.
Urbina's team frequently witnessed death, destruction, and disregard for human dignity throughout the Mediterranean. Migrants are sometimes pushed back by the Libyan Coast Guard, then detained in Libya, in a process that Urbina says has little, if any, oversight.
When I attempted the first time, I was caught by the Coast Guard. They tortured me a lot. They didn't give me any food. They also beat me for money.
Usually there's rape, there's beatings, there's deprivation of medicine and food, pretty horrific stuff. Using these migrants for labor is legal in Libya. So there's a program where the migrants can essentially be rented out to someone. If you're, someone who runs a farm or a factory, there are also militias that are cleaning weapons and arms that have used rented migrants. So there's an entire unbelievable business model that's around the capture and the use of these migrants.
Libya is a fractured state without a centralized or cohesive government. That creates more confusion about their migrant policy and how to handle the migrants that end up on Libyan shores. More than 2,000 people have died trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea this year, and around 5,000 who attempted the voyage are believed to be in Libyan detention. Many migrants end up back in Libya because of policies created by Italy and the European Union to help fund the Libyan Coast Guard. That's according to Urbina's reporting and echoed in many reports by human rights groups.
This is a war on migration. It's a militarized effort to stop the flow of these people into your country or the EU, right? And the militarized effort has a air force, and that's the planes and drones that they're paying to put over the Mediterranean to spot the migrant boats. It has a navy, and that's called the Libyan Coast Guard, but it's essentially functioning as a navy on behalf of the EU, and it's an armed force. And then it's got an army, which is boots on the ground with weapons, and those are the guys in Libya who are armed and paid for by the EU to hold these folks in detention facilities.
The independent humanitarian group Doctors Without Borders, or Médecins Sans Frontières, has been trying to clean up after these policies since 2015. Juan Matias Hill, an MSF search and rescue representative, says it's been a much longer process than they expected.
So at the beginning, we thought that we were going to cover this gap for a short time, and the states were going to take over with their responsibilities and obligations. This didn't happen. So since then, we have rescued almost or more than 85,000 people in the Central Med, and we cannot leave because the death continues. The gap still there, and there's no safe and legal route to reach safety. So unfortunately, we are forced to keep on working in this context.
Matias Hill shared with us the horrors he's seen as he and others try to deliver medical attention to migrants.
All these people are coming from a long road, a journey where they have suffered violence. So we see and we witness the scars that people have of the physical violence. We listen stories about sexual violence, about extortion, about psychological harassment. So our clinical and psychological teams on board are witnessing this, and they are treating them, making sure that the vulnerabilities that we identify, they have a proper follow-up once they arrive on shore.
He says policies coming from European countries make the migration situation worse and is hampering MSF's ability to save lives.
Once again, we face an obstruction in our activity. Now they put in place some domestic law in Italy, which we believe they are against the international maritime law, and that they say that we can only do one rescue at a time and then go immediately to port. We know very well when there's one departure, there's many other departures at the same time. So rescuing only one boat, we are leaving so many others behind. They should give the possibility to people on the move to apply for asylum and international protection in their own countries, in the countries of transit, and really putting the life and the rights of the people in the core of the policies. This is not happening. The only thing that these policies are defending are the borders and arrivals from non-European citizens.
Urbina says these policies are a global trend, and climate change will likely make an already tenuous situation worse.
That same story is playing out on the US southern border with migrants that are attempting to leave very desperate situations and make it to the US, where they think and may be right that they have more chance of employment and hope. And that's also happening on the southern border of Europe. And this is the same story. And that story is only going to get bigger and bigger with the climate crisis. So if we just step one big step back and think of this in a longer time frame and in a wider geography, we realize this is a larger trend and it's going to get bigger. And the short-term fixes of trying to outsource migration control to poor and failed nations, be it Libya or Mexico, is not a lasting strategy. It's not going to work.
As countries debate the best way to handle the many facets of the migrant crisis, thousands of people will continue to make this dangerous voyage in search of safe haven. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nicole Ellis.